Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while?
Do you want to know what it is?
There's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
There's a special rug in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch.
He peed on my rug!
He peed on the dude's rug.
Do your worst.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I have witnessed their capacity for courage. And though we are worlds apart, like us, there more to them than meets the eye. I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to all surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars. We are here. We are waiting. What I've done.
I hope it's not backwards.
Welcome to your feature presentation. I'm your host, Heath Fall. Today we are going to talk about Skeleton Crew and movies coming out this weekend, which includes a friendly Autobot named Optimus Prime.
The one, the only, the one. I am the one.
And I love how Andrew didn't tell me what gag he was going to do after I did that, and I loved how it was a visual only gag.
Yeah.
So all the podcasts are like,
what was that silence?
What was the silence? So if you're just an audio listener, Andrew held up his phone with the end credits for directed by Michael Bay.
Yep. Honestly, if you're just listening to the show, what are you even doing? Get on YouTube.
Honestly, what you should be doing is you should be listening to it on audio on a podcatcher of your choice, and you should be watching it on YouTube simultaneously.
Oh,
that's what you should be doing. You should be doing both.
With both of the audios going?
Yes.
Surround
sound.
You
could cut the audio from one. Probably the one that's audio only.
You have, actually, get on all your devices. Turn on our podcast on all the devices. You can mute them all. Just give us the listen.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah, hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Why don't you just play it on a phone, play it on your friend's phone, watch it on YouTube, give us as multiple and many views as you
can.
Put
it on your TV, everything.
Yeah. What did you used to say about your mom? Show it to your mom.
Oh,
send it to your mom.
Send it to your grandma. Yeah.
Send it to your grandma.
Your grandma wants to listen to the show.
And we've already become derailed. So
I know.
Let's talk about movies coming out this weekend. And then our episode today is about Skeleton Crew. We're going to tell you about some thoughts. It's an upcoming Star Wars show that we're excited about. So we're going to dive into that. So what do we have for movies coming out this weekend?
The movie number 1 is Transformers 1, The Untold Story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once they were friends, bonded like brothers, who changed the fate of Cybertron forever.
Megatron.
So that'll be exciting. That's like a absolutely star-studded cast.
Yeah, Chris is in it, right? Our buddy Chris.
Chris, and Chris. And Chrissy!
Get out of the water! That's a Jaws reference for you there.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, to me, I'm kind of indifferent about it. It's cool. If my son was older, I would totally take him to this. It looks more of like a kid movie or family-friendly movie. Mm-hmm. I won't go see it by myself, but it's like, hey, if you love the Transformers and you want to see every bit of Transformers movie, then go check it out, right?
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Up next is Lumina. Lumina follows 4 friends desperately searching for their abductee friend in a dumb, D-U-M-B. Whether they find their friend or not in the deserts of the U.S. to the sands of Sahara will change their lives forever.
This is the one that's very cerebral, right?
Yes.
Jumps around.
Yeah, it has Eric Roberts. Do you know Eric Roberts?
No.
He's Runaway Train, or in The Dark Knight Rises. No, just The Dark Knight. He played Maroni, like the crime boss guy.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. What makes you think I want to hear you talk? That guy?
Oh, nice. Yeah, very recognizable.
No, sorry, I wasn't
face.
quoting the movie. I was telling you what makes you think I want to hear you talk. It's a weird thing to say to your co-host of 30 episodes.
Wow. Are we 30 in? Wow.
We're getting close to
anyway,
it. I think
I'm retiring.
upper 20s. I've retired.
Bye.
Click. Yeah, this is the one I saw someone comment on the trailer that was this trailer looks like it was like 12 different movies. Like there's 12 different scenes. I don't know, it just looks very interesting, like visually, a lot of like I said, kind of cerebral stuff. So yeah, looks interesting.
Yeah. Lastly,
Hey, wait,
We
hold
have-
on. Hold on
Oh.
to me. Hold on to me. Grab my hand through the
Never.
through the computer screen. Grab me.
Because
and
never let go.
let go.
Never Let Go. Releasing September 20th.
Yeah.
Never Let Go, a family that has been haunted by an evil spirit for years. Their safety and their surroundings come into question when one of the children questions if the evil is real. This is a story that I find so compelling. Are you mimicking me now? We're both doing priest temple hands, fingertips. This is a type of story that I find so interesting. There was a sci-fi show called Silo, where
Love Silo.
so good, and it feels like this is the Silo horror of like these people have grown up and been born and grown up in this atmosphere where they're like, don't go outside because it's dangerous and you will die outside, and you're like, prove it, show it to me, and they're like, we can't really. It's just dangerous out there. Like, there's a Cloverfield movie that does this. There's Silo. There's this movie. I'm sure there's many others, but I just love that trope. I think it's such a good trope.
yeah.
Like, what's a positive trope?
Where you can't go outside.
No, I mean, like, trope I feel like is a negative word. What's a positive?
I mean, I guess what's the definition of trope? I thought it was just kind of like something that happens a lot, like in a movie or something.
Oh, so it's doesn't carry negative weight.
I don't think it does to me, but I could be wrong. I've never researched the word
it's
trope.
it's just a figurative or metaphorical use of a word. That's weird.
I don't understand it.
Is it
yeah,
a trope? Anyway.
Your feature presentation where we get to down to the meanings of words.
Dictionaries.
Yeah, that looks like an interesting movie to me. I will say too, it distracted me when you said Silo because I love Silo. I think there's a new season coming out in November, I want to say.
Oh yes.
And honestly, Silo is a great TV show. It's on Apple. And that's definitely one of my shows that I recommend to people when we're like, I need a new show. That's always my question. Like, have you seen Silo? Because not everyone has watched those Apple shows, but they're good quality. So
they're really good, yeah. Shout out to Bear McCreary if you listened to our last episode last week. Bear McCreary did the soundtrack for Foundation, which is an Apple TV show.
I have not listened to that soundtrack or that show.
Oh, gorgeous!
Do both.
So pretty.
Let's jump right into Skeleton Crew. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Skeleton Crew. Do you have a synopsis to read for this one?
Yeah. So it says, the power of one, the power of many. The power of many. 4 kids make a mysterious discovery on their home planet that leads them to get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. Featuring Jude Law.
The boy.
What I think is really cool is that Jude Law, Kerry Condon, and Tunde Adembimpe, sorry for mispronouncing his name, they don't have names yet.
Yeah.
Like, they're not listed as a stranger or person number 4 or whatever. They just don't have a name yet. So that makes me feel like it's going to be a cool thing.
Yeah. Like, there's some things yet to be revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this show to me, I'm actually looking up the timeline because I don't know the timeline is supposed to take place.
Yeah.
Do you
I
know
think, I do not know the timeline, but my guess...
approximately 5 years after Return of the Jedi. That was very quick on the Google.
It was approximately. I think Jude Law is Tenebris.
Whoa! What, man?
5 years
so
after the Return of the Jedi.
they just canceled The Acolyte like a couple weeks ago at this point, but that's so funny. Like, what if they're like, oh crap, this show coming out is totally a prequel series to the Acolyte.
To the Acolyte.
Like,
Oh, that guy peeing around the corner, Jude Law is his master. And
That's
we'd be like,
Jude
that doesn't
Law.
matter anymore.
yeah, because canon.
Who cares?
No, so I think so this is going to be kind of more of I would describe it more as a family style Star Wars, like, you know, kind of like as a family movie. Excuse me, my gosh. It's been described, we talked about it before just in passing, but more of like a Goonies, like an 80s kind of classic E.T., very much like group of kids kind of. Have you seen Super 8?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, similar vibes like that. Like, I think that was still a throwback to some of those other movies, but it really feels like Stranger Things. Like, they're all kind of that similar, like kids discovering something ancient or something magical, and you know, going from there. And we talked about this before, but I think Skeleton Crew, the trailer feels very unique from what we've seen from Star Wars projects before. It's not this, but it almost feels like this show could be about kids from our world getting thrown into the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
Which kind of makes me nervous because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man, and I'm like, that's too different from what I'm used to.
Man, I mean, you were 15 years old when the first Star Wars movie came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of
So
my
you're getting up
Benjamin
there.
Button's disease. That's
That's right.
It's in flux, though. It's a more acute diagnosis, unfortunately. So I actually jump around a lot. So I started off very old and I've gotten still younger, but sometimes I jump back to super old again. So I was 15 when the first one came out, but then I was like 40 when the second one came out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A terrible experience.
yeah, I don't stay young forever. I just keep getting older, but then I've always been old, something like that.
Yeah, I think that this could be really good if it feels like an E.T., if it feels like a Stranger Things or a Goonies.
Yeah.
Not in the sense that like they're based in the 80s, but if you take that energy and that vibe, I think you will get, if you do it well, you will get the older audience who were kids in the 80s, who like the Goonies, who like Back to the Future, who like those kinds of movies. You'll get that audience who is frankly hard to please in the Star Wars realm.
Yeah.
And you'll get a new audience, because if you give opportunity for children to watch a show that takes itself seriously and tells a good story that's really fun, and it gives them a chance to put themselves in the story, I think it will just absolutely take off.
It's cool. They've got some great showrunners in Christopher Ford and John Watts, who have done a lot of cool shows, been a part of things. So I think there is such a great track record with those guys. And obviously, like Jude Law, I think what's really going to make or break this show, though, is the kid actors in this. Because we talked about this before, like kid actors can be so hit or miss, you know, and if we don't like these kids, like, I mean, man, Stranger Things, you just like those kids. You start watching it and you're like, man, this feels like, you know, kids I went to middle school with. And like, I totally get this vibe. And if we are annoyed by the kids in this show, like, it's gonna be a slog.
Yeah, and it's tough. I think you mentioned this before, but Star Wars has a really bad habit of doing poorly with child actors. But we know it can be done. Like,
Are you an angel? An angel. I heard the Deep Space pilots talking about him. They're from the moons of the Diego, I think.
She goes, "You want to get married?"
Though he's just 9 and she's 14, yeah, he's probably gonna marry her someday. Delightful. Yeah, and I think it really makes or break a show like this. Like we talked about it in The Acolyte, and that was just 2 episodes we got with child actors that we didn't like. And it's like, it does make me nervous because I'm like, hopefully these are casted well, and it looks good. That's the thing to me. Like I like the trailer. It looks good. It looks like these, the younger actors are good, and obviously Jude Law adds some gravitas to the role. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun adventure show.
Yeah.
But I'm also, like I said, I am hesitant, mostly just because of Disney has been so all over the place.
Yeah, very sporadic. So I have a hope. I have a really specific hope for this show.
A new
No,
hope?
it's an old hope. Maybe even one that has been awakened in me. You could call it a force. A force that's been awakened.
To me, it's like this hidden thing on my shoulder. It's like a phantom menace.
Wow, that's crazy. Attack of the Clones.
I was gonna say I don't know how to add that one in there.
Attack of the Clones.
There's clones of me attacking.
No, this is so silly, but I really hope that the baby Rebo, the baby Max Rebo, is not the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. Like I think
they're.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it's tough because I get weary because something that everyone is comparing it to is like, oh my gosh, he's cuter than Baby Yoda.
That's not
and
true.
It's like, yeah.
First of all,
I don't know. I also don't like.
First of all, don't you trample the name of Grogu like that. Cuter than Grogu? Nothing. No one.
Nothing. Yeah, so I think I'm excited for it. So like what would make you happy, or what do you want to see in this show?
I think that I would like, obviously, some good actors, some good like child actors to portray characters well. They give me like a compelling story I care about. I'm hoping for just an outrageous adventure. Like if they're just having a blast and I can just smile the whole time that I'm watching the show, because it's so fantastic and it's like whimsical and exciting, I think it will be a huge win for me. If I can just have fun through the whole thing and not feel like, oh, that was awful, or like, oh, the Princess Leia running through the woods scene from Kenobi. I was like, this. If you're watching the full video show, you can see my cringy face. Like, oh, this is awful.
That was such a weird.
Yeah. So it's a hard balance because if from the Kenobi thing, Leia has the pride or like this mentality that like she can best grown people. So it makes sense for her character to try and succeed a little bit in outrunning grown humans, right? But it doesn't actually physically
or the bass player from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
What? Was that him?
That's the bass player, Flea. That's
You're
one of the bounty hunters. No, it's the bass player for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's so cool.
You didn't know that?
No, what? I do.
Dude,
I love
look
the
up
Peppers.
Flea. Look up Flea's cameos. He is a cameo. The bass player from Red Hot Chili Peppers is in so many random movies.
Really?
He's the bully. He's Needles in Back to the Future.
What?
He's just like he was in Baby Driver. He's one of the villains.
Wow.
He's No-Nos. That's No-Nos. No-Nos goes. Yeah, he's just like this bass player. A great bass player,
Yeah.
but then he's just in so many random movies. I don't even know how it started.
I'll have to keep my
I feel like that's a whole documentary of like, why is this bass player in so many random movies?
That's hilarious. I had no idea. Yeah, so like it makes sense for her character to think that she can do that, but it doesn't physically make sense for a grown person to go, I'm gonna get you. Wow. Oh, I missed you. So as long as we
the classic trip whistle, the whoop.
Yeah,
You know,
literally
it's
like
the
Looney
whimsical
Tunes.
chase. Yeah.
So as long as they steer away from that, like,
Mhm.
I don't want to say unrealistic because it's Star Wars. Like, there are going to be unrealistic things. So I don't. How would you describe it? Like, put into words what I'm feeling, Heath?
Like what you want to see?
No, like how would you describe that? Like, I don't want the Princess Leia silly thing, but it's a show about kids in Star Wars, so it's going to be appropriately silly.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe
I think
that.
I think this thing is you really can't talk down to kids. And I think that's a big thing with good children's TV, good family entertainment, because when kids that are younger need something to look up to, kids that are the same age don't want to be like, these people are lame, or that's, and then for us as adults, if it's not talked down to for kids, it's usually something that we can enjoy as well. I'd consider myself almost an adult. Age-wise, I've been there for a while. Maturity-wise, I'm not quite there yet, but I hope to be someday.
One day you'll get there.
One day. So I think that's really important that, like, this show, I think, treats these characters well. And I think that's why someone can watch Stranger Things. Like, it's an ageless show.
Yeah.
Because it has these real characters. And I know what you're saying. I don't know exactly how to say it, but it needs to be fun and whimsical, but it can't be silly. It can't be stupid.
Yeah,
it's like
let them experience real, genuine danger, like the Demogorg, where you watch that and you go, whoa, yeah, doesn't matter if you're a child or not. That's scary. Right. That's frightening. And then let them resolve it in a child way, like in a innocent way. You're like, oh, I never would have thought of that because I'm a grown person and they think differently than me. Then, like, that is comfortable. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Like, I'm guessing we're not going to get any Sith kebabs in this.
No. A shame. A shame, really.
You know what I'd love to see? I don't know
kebab.
why this popped in my head. I'd love to see a Sith kebab. I would love to see some classic villains chase them or interact them. I'm like, if they're experiencing crazy things, like some characters we've really not gotten in a live action or flushed out for even the original trilogy, I'm like, what if we saw like Dengar like
cool,
interact with them?
IG-88.
Or like he's just like these classic like bounty hunters or like Bosk. Like how cool would that be? It's like, I got a bounty on this, we got to retrieve this ship, and then he's chasing him for a while or something. Like some classic interaction there, because I think this show can also be a really great thing for that as well. Some like fun Star Wars moments, and I have Nick Frost voices the robot in this, and I have high hopes for that as well. Like, I'm really hoping we get some good, well, I mean, he's always funny, and I think hopefully we'll get some good classic, moments from him as well.
How would you feel about some sort of Mando tie-in?
Yeah, I think I'd like that, and I think we're going to get some as well, because that's the era we're going to.
Do you think it'll be a sprinkle or like a hard tie-in?
I don't know. It's been interesting because I try not to do I try not to look up rumors. I like to just at most something like this episode where we're just talking about the official facts, have been released. But I mean, I was shocked when in Book of Boba Fett we got pretty much 2 Mandalorian episodes.
Right. Yeah.
But even the show brings up that, like, even the official announcement, let me see if I can find it right here, takes place in the same time frame as the Mandalorian series, is interconnected as spinoffs after Return of the Jedi. So, like, I think it's a bit of a wait and see, but they've talked about doing a tie-in with all of these Mandoverse movies and shows. And so I think it depends on how well the show goes, but I think we could definitely see some of these characters show up at Mando and vice versa, especially in the movie coming up. So I think we're definitely going to get I don't know if a Mandalorian himself, but I think we're definitely going to get some connections.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. Like, is it going to be like a Zeb situation where like a side character, like not a necessarily main character from a different show will show up in the show, and you'd be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be the most tasteful. I don't think that I would be psyched about Din Djarin like walking through the background and you're like, oh, there he is.
It's funny because I like Din Djarin's character, but I hope we don't get just snippets of cameos. Like I said, like if you're gonna bring in like Bossk, like make him in an episode, like make him something to do. Same thing with the Mandalorian, but we've seen him a lot, you know. So like, let's just do something interesting. Bring in someone I haven't seen a lot, you know. Man, one of my favorite characters from The Mandalorian is Bill Burr's character.
Dude, yeah.
Mayfeld. And it's just like, I always would love to see more of him. We haven't seen him since season 2. And it's like, man, bring back some of those characters, you know, like it doesn't even have to be classic characters, like just characters that maybe aren't in the show they started in, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a Cara Dune, but.
No. She was cool.
Yeah, she was cool. So, yeah, I have high hopes for this show, and I think it's going to be fun. It's a December 3rd release date right now. So that'll be a fun kind of Christmas viewing experience, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, well, that's all I've got to say about it. I think we've got high hopes, and we've got cool things that I think we're going to get. And it does seem to me like I said, Disney shows have not had great track records, but I do have hopes for this show because of who's behind it, like the showrunners themselves, the actors, and the trailer just looks good, you know?
Yeah, I will say, as someone whose favorite Star Wars anything is Andor, I look forward to this show, not because I think it will be like Andor. I'm hopeful for it because I think it will be fresh. I'm hoping that it will be fresh like Andor was fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, Andor and Rogue One are obviously, those are like married projects under the same director. So I don't really want it to be like gritty and like Andor is, but I hope that it's fresh like Andor is, if that makes sense. Like, I hope it's new and brings something unique to Star Wars. Because that's the opportunity you have with like an all-children cast, basically. So I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, same. So go check out that show. It's coming soon. We're excited for it. Andrew, why don't you talk about what we're doing next episode?
Yeah. So next week, we're going to do, Heath and I will make top 5 genres, movie genres. And within each genre, Heath and I will also describe our top director. So we'll probably do some mixture of the Gorley method again. It'll be a really fun time. Lots of talking genres, and ranking directors, like a director inside of there. So even if Heath and I have all of the same 5 genres, which I think is unlikely, for top 5 for movies, we will very likely have different directors that we prefer, and we can get a chance to talk about that. So that's our last September episode before we get into spooky season. And all October is scary movie stuff.
We're going to hit October hard.
Yeah.
All Halloween-based horror movies. Just fall-time movies in general, I think, too. Like, we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things going on, so try to get some spooky movies coming in there. But, yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Truly, truly. Well, can I take them home, Heath?
Take us home.
Oh, let's go home. Hey, thanks for watching. As always, you can find our full YouTube video show on YouTube. As always, you can find our full audio show on Spotify and everywhere else that you get podcasts. We're bringing it back. Send it to your grandma. She wants to watch the show. I know she does. She told me. She does. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, go see a movie.